Our company was the first company to hack the iPhone. The team that was doing that research, they really wanted to not just hack the iPhone. They wanted to be first. They gained full administrative control of the device, meaning they could activate the microphone, they could send text messages, they could delete information.
I'm Shawnee Delaney. I spent years undercover as a Defense Intelligence Agency case officer.
And I'm Tyler Gray. I served as a U.S. Army Ranger sniper, as well as an assaulter in an elite Tier 1 counterterrorism unit. This is Control Room.
Welcome to Control Room. Today, we have Ted Harrington. He is a leader of hackers, something you don't really hear every day, an author. And Ted, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you to explain what that means, but I want you to tell me, what would you tell me if I were a stranger sitting next to you on an airplane and I asked, what do you do for a living?
Well, the first thing I would say is I work in cybersecurity, and I choose that intentionally to gauge how interested the person is in wanting to know more. Like, they don't need to know the deep technical part of my discipline. So then what follows is usually people either are like, I have a bad password, or my cousin got hacked or something. So then that's like, okay, we'll travel that part of the conversation where we want to go. Or if they're, oh, well, I also work in cybersecurity, I work in IT, then I'll tell them, oh, well, I come from the field of ethical hacking, which means that companies hire us to hack them, to help find the problems with their tech and make them better before the bad types of hackers find and exploit those problems.
How would you define a hacker in simple terms?
Well, first, let's address the fact that hackers are not bad. Now, that might be a real paradigm shift for a lot of people who have heard this term, because for decades we've been force-fed this myth that hackers equal sign bad.
Yeah.
And that's not true. Hackers are not bad, but also hackers are not good. The term is just on its own neutral. What a hacker is a set of attributes that have to do with how you think, how you approach problems, and then it's the motivation by which you apply that set of attributes to that. So good hackers are motivated to improve the security of systems, and bad hackers are motivated to victimize in order to obtain some sort of gain.
Yeah.
And that's really the distinction. But if we boil back to what does it mean to think like a hacker, there are, as I've discovered, 4 primary traits. First, hackers are curious, hackers are non-conforming, hackers are committed, and hackers are creative. And I've come to that understanding, and we can talk about each of those if you want. I've come to that understanding through years of just spending every day with hackers. I mean, literally I'm surrounded by hackers every day. Hackers are my friends. I go on vacation with hackers. I go to hacker conventions. And interviewing people. And I've written a couple books now, one of which just came out that specifically is about the hacker mindset and how to apply it to anything. And so I spent time interviewing hackers. It was an amazing experience, calling up people that I respect and admire and maybe haven't even met yet, and said, well, what does this mean to you? What does it mean to think like a hacker? And those 4 traits were the things that came out of that exercise.
So how can consumers and your average person use this hacker mentality to protect themselves against hackers and scammers and people trying to do them harm?
An assumption that an everyday person, everyday consumer, people not who work in security, people just every day believe is why would anyone come after me? Yeah. What do I have?
Everybody thinks
Everyone
that.
thinks that. I don't have that much money. I don't have state secrets. Why would they come after me? First of all, if someone's listening and you've ever thought or heard or even said that, this is your call to action, that there's an assumption. You've just identified an assumption. You're assuming that no one will come after you. And that is a really brave act, to look at it and say, well, what if someone came after me? How would I change my behaviors? And that helps you. It's not about being paranoid and about living in a state of fear, because I don't think that's very healthy, or that's just not a great outcome of this mindset, but rather think about, well, how can I make better choices? For example, a lot of people reuse the same password across multiple sites. Don't do that. That's, if a bad hacker were to compromise one site, they now have your passwords for everything, so use a password manager. Another example might be, what's one thing that's absolutely coming with AI is indistinguishable video deepfakes.
Yeah.
So you'll get a FaceTime call or a video call of some sort, and it will be your mom, your brother, your kid, whatever, and they'll be on video saying they need money, send it right now. And you're like, oh my God, of course, yeah, absolutely. And it's not gonna be your kid, it's gonna be an attacker. what we have to start talking about now, this is what I'm gonna say right now, this will be 10 years from now, the way that the world works. We all will do this. Right now, it sounds like a disruptive approach, but we'll have like, there's two things you do in that situation. You'll have a safety word, which is, okay, in our family, we use the word Christmas tree when someone has a moment like, Johnny, what's our safety word? And the attacker won't know what it is. So now you know, okay, hang this up. The second is, an alternative, you don't need to do both, just hang up. Call them back, because the attacker doesn't have your kid's phone or your parent's phone. And the reason I use those examples isn't necessarily to talk about AI, but more that there's a real world scenario that the hacker mindset, if we can just live it every day, where it's not live in fear, but like be a little skeptical, right? Oh, this person's giving me some urgency.
Yeah, it's, to me, from what you're saying, I'm almost hearing part of the hacker mindset is kind of like being skeptical of the way we think we have to do it.
100%.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. That's a great, I love that.
Yeah, skepticism is such an important and powerful trait. And as humans, we're wired to trust. We want to trust people. Most people are nice. Most people, and most people are worthy of trust. But we can't start with that. We have to start with being skeptical. Like, who are you? Mm-hmm. How often do you get a phone call and maybe it's your doctor, and your doctor's like, hey, I just need to verify you before I start asking you. That's probably not your doctor, and if it is your doctor, that's really bad practices. And my doctor has done that. My doctor's called me and said, hey, I just need to verify you. And I'm like, no, I need to verify you. What are you talking about? I'm gonna call you back. And eventually you figure it out. But having that mindset of like, hey, the world is good. There's more good in the world than there's bad by a long shot. But we still have to kind of be a little bit on the lookout for it. And if people can walk away from this episode feeling not scared, I don't want them to feel scared, but like empowered. Like, maybe I should just think independently a little bit about some of the choices that I make. Like, what if this is in fact a bad thing that's coming, this link I just received? What if this is malicious? What would I do? Well, I wouldn't click it if it was malicious. Okay, well, who's the link from? Oh, I'm waiting a DocuSign. Okay, who are you waiting the DocuSign from? DocuSign has an ability to go straight to DocuSign.com and fill in a document number, and then you'll get the document right there. So there's ways that we can, with just minimal behavior change, protect ourselves by having this hacker mindset.
I think that gives us a lot of preparedness mindset too. Yeah. When I was a kid, I grew up in California. We did duck and cover drills all the time for earthquakes. We practiced it. We built good muscle memory. If you have that hacker mindset, I feel like you really are building that good muscle memory for challenging those assumptions, for being prepared, for being skeptical, because you've already kind of run through the what ifs to a degree. And so when that happens, whatever that is, you're not in that frozen fight or flight or fawn moment, right?
Yeah.
On that note, or in general, with all the work that you've done with your team, what are some of the more famous hacks or well-known hacks, or even hacks that you're the most proud of?
One that we're always asked about, and it's interesting to me because this was almost 20 years ago, is our company was the first company to hack the iPhone when the iPhone first came out.
Really?
And it's like, I forget what iPhone we're on right now. 16 or something? 17. And I mean, think about that. This was Gen 1.
Yeah.
But it was a really exciting moment in time where the team that was doing that research, they really wanted to not just hack the iPhone, but they wanted to be first. Because from a research standpoint, like that's really significant, not just hacking, but being first. But at the same time, every other researcher at the time also wanted to be first. And Apple certainly wasn't handing these things out to researchers to be like, find problems with it. And so didn't get early access to the phone, stood in line just like every other clown, like trying to get the iPhone on day one.
I was in line.
Yeah, so you might have even seen them. And so they wait in line, they get the phone, and they go try this thing out, and sure enough, it worked. And within, I think it was like 24, maybe 48 hours, had executed this proof of concept and actually proved the concept with a reporter from the New York Times.
Oh, going big.
Yeah, well, now the reporter was part of this. They were not like an unwitting victim, but the phone is sitting on their desk in Manhattan. And our team is in our primary lab in Baltimore. And they gain full administrative control of the device, meaning they could activate the microphone, they could send text messages, they could take pictures, they could delete information, all from, everything other than physically pressing a button.
Yikes.
Now, I assume that would be considered a serious security flaw. Like,
Oh, yeah.
Is that as like bad as it gets as a security? Like
yeah.
on the rating, is there a scale? I don't know.
There is a scale, and that
okay.
was so critical severity is the most significant. And that was critical severity.
Yeah, I assume.
But Apple went and fixed it right away.
So was that the first hack and the first patch? Could you say?
I've actually never been asked that question. It has to have been the first patch.
I mean, if it's the
because
first
it was
thing
the
that pops
first,
up.
it was like within the first day.
That's
so it was
a double
probably
claim
like
to fame.
1.0. I can't claim it right now, but I'm
But
gonna
now
look
you're
into
gonna
that.
look. Yeah, now
and
you're-
if it
yeah.
is that, I'm absolutely.
We have the first patch ever. Yeah,
Because that's a cool claim. The first patch.
Yeah. We caused the first security patch ever on an iPhone.
You know, you hate updating patches. We were first.
Thanks, jerk.
Okay, I have a personal question for you. Mm-hmm. Have you ever been hacked?
Probably.
Anything that you know of?
Most likely. I can't think of one in particular. Maybe there might have been a time. Yeah, I think there was a time when a friend forwarded me an email that looked like it was coming from me and it was from someone else. I would operate under the assumption that I have at some point, and I think everyone should probably operate under that assumption.
Is being Rickrolled considered being hacked? Is that like in the...
Okay, so that's a phenomenal question.
Because I can kind of see it both ways.
So just to make sure anyone who doesn't know what this term is.
Yeah,
so,
we got to Rickroll them on the video.
Rickrolled is when a friend will send you a link or something, you click it, and it's like, oh, look at this, I don't know, the inspection report from the house we just bought. Here, click this link. You click it, and it's a video of Rick Astley singing that song, like, never gonna let you down.
Yeah,
He's doing that whole
classic.
thing. And so
earworm.
it's classic prank.
Classic.
And so that's called getting Rickrolled. If you get, oh man, you got me to click the link. And Rickrolling is probably the single most effective awareness campaign in the history of security.
Really?
Because people now, they don't care about their stuff getting stolen, but they care about getting embarrassed in front of their friends and their friends being like, gotcha.
Yeah,
and they're like, I'm not gonna click that because Rick Astley might be on the other side of this.
Yeah, that's so true.
That's what I imagine your parties are like. You said like your friends are hackers, like you hang out with hackers every day. I imagine like I would never have a phone on around your friends. Like, do you guys mess with each other all the time?
Yeah, that's a great question.
In technical ways, not necessarily. They're more like collaborative. Like, how can we mess with this? Like, you see it all the time when, like those, when you go to a restaurant and you get handed that little terminal to pay with your credit card, and the server usually walks away.
Yeah.
And the other day I was at one, and a friend of mine had, that company also makes the big kiosks you check out at like McDonald's or whatever. And he was telling me something he'd found in one of those. And so then I get handed this handheld terminal the next day. I'm like, I wonder if what he was talking about I could do here.
Can't help yourself.
Can't help myself. So I start poking around in it, and there didn't appear to be any, I couldn't, I don't have the technical skills of like many of the people at our company. So like, who knows what was really there. But even with what I was doing, I observed the waiter gave this thing to me and then left. I could just go in and just change what Wi-Fi it connects to. The Wi-Fi setting there was no password control on that.
So you could skim credit cards.
Yeah, so I could have my own like malicious
Skimmer
AP, and you connect right to it. They would never know because the thing still works. But I'm now a man in the middle, which means like between point A and point B, it goes to someone else, which it shouldn't. And I was like, that's not. I didn't even hack it. Like, that's not even hacking. That's someone handed me a thing, logged in.
Yeah.
Did you tell them? He's like, no, I paid
He
the
didn't
bill.
want to mess with his dinner.
Honestly, I don't think the waiter would have cared. He'd been like,
cool story, bro.
I've been here 12 hours. Like, why are you making
Give
my
me a
life
tip.
harder?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's really interesting. I mean, is pretty much any device on the hacker menu to try and exploit or find weaknesses in?
100%. Yeah, I mean, I think this is part of the way that hackers think. They just look at everything. And I think a really vivid metaphor is for like anyone who's ever seen the movie The Matrix, which if you haven't seen it yet, I'm gonna spoil it, but it's like 25 years later, so it's like kind of on you.
Yeah.
But the premise of The Matrix, they're living this like beautiful life, and then all of a sudden it turns out that's a simulation. And you can unplug from the Matrix. And when you unplug from the Matrix, it's this choice now that's been made, which is the Matrix is this beautiful, comfortable life, but it's not reality. Or you can have reality, but it's
not
bleak
beautiful.
and it's scary and it's not beautiful. And so which do you choose? And people who have the hacker mindset have unplugged from the matrix. They are living in reality, but it's not beautiful. And the underlying premise of the movie is, of course, that is actually better. To live in reality, warts and all. I don't know. I think that's the way hackers, they walk around. They're like, I mean, I even sat in here. I was like, look at all these lights in here. Look at all these cameras. Like, how many of these are connected to the internet? What Bluetooth do we have operating in here? Like, what shortwave, you know?
Their technical stuff has rubbed off on you.
Ted, do you know why we see some people kind of go towards the dark side, if you will, and other people go towards the white hat side of hacking?
Yeah, I love that question. So I have direct exposure to white hat hackers, so I can speak to that from experience and observation, and I can theorize about the bad guys. The bad guys, my theory is that what draws them is, well, I mean, certainly a different moral compass, for sure. But another is, in a lot of cases, this is a practical matter, right? They live in a country where maybe income opportunities, economic opportunities are limited, and here's a way you could really make a wonderful living for your family by taking advantage of some organization that's like nothing to you, that's nameless, doesn't impact your life, that you see as having all the riches in the world.
Yeah.
So I can, in a sense, empathize with that. Not that I agree with it, but I can see the perspective where they're coming from, because for that kind of person, it's a job.
Yeah.
They're like, this is my income. I think there's some people who are motivated to do that because they just lack the typical sense of right versus wrong that most of us have. The person who's drawn to the light, and I can speak to this from direct observation, is that they love, like, I'll quote my business partner, Steve, who's like the ideal type of a hacker. And he says, because I asked him this question, like, why do you do this? And why didn't you do that? Like, you could probably make a lot more money. But we're talking like exponentially more money that way. And he said, well, I love to be able to do bad guy stuff, not go to jail, be paid really well, and help other people in the process.
He's like, I don't look good in orange.
Yeah, and I don't look good in orange.
It's a win all the way around.
It's a win all the way around, and I think also then there's a natural deterrent, which is like, okay, yeah, you could go live the other way, but then you gotta look over your shoulder, there's only certain places in the world you can live, and I just would have to think as a human, that would just eat at you. If you're doing something knowingly victimizing others, even if you justify to yourself that this victimization it's victimless, you're still victimizing, and I just think other parts of your soul would deteriorate. So I don't know, the people that I get to be around you can just tell are good people. I'm sure that there are people that I've been around at hacker conference and stuff who are the bad ones and I just didn't know it. Like, I'm sure that's absolutely happening. But that's my understanding of why someone's drawn to one versus the other.
All right, Ted, we want to play a little game with you. We're going to ask a series of very quick fire questions. Are you ready?
Let's rock and roll.
All right. What is your favorite hacker movie or TV show?
The Matrix.
All right.
That was my question, by the way. That I was going to ask.
I don't think people think it's a hacker movie, but I'm telling you, it's like the premise.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
What's the craziest hack that you've ever heard of?
Stuxnet. Stuxnet, for people who don't know, is when this worm was used to infect the Iranian nuclear program in a way that the centrifuge spun so fast it broke itself, while at the same time simultaneously telling all the sensors that everything was fine. That's like out of science fiction.
FYI, there were two espionage angles to that story. So
really?
Just to throw us a bone. Oh. All right, true or false? Everything is hackable.
False.
Okay.
You could pour it in concrete, disconnected from the internet.
What's scarier, hacked cars or hacked medical devices?
I'll say medical devices because you're already not in a great mental state when you're attached to one.
I was going to say, it depends on if you have a medical device. Yeah. What's one superpower, only one, that hackers have?
Curiosity.
What gadget do you trust the least?
Siri.
What are you watching now?
Chief of War.
What's one piece of personal information that people just give away too easily?
All of their security questions.
And if you could hack one entity with no repercussions, what would it be?
I want to see something get set on fire.
Literally?
Like, I know that's a real twisted answer to that question, but like with the Stuxnet example, taking a digital attack that results in a physical reaction, that's really interesting to me. And not because I want someone to be on fire, just to be really clear, I'm not an arsonist, but as a scientific exercise, I think that is just incredibly fascinating.
Well, thank you, Ted. This was amazing. Can you please tell people about your book? Can you show it? I know you brought it here.
Yes,
Where can they get it?
I brought one. You can get it at Amazon or anywhere books are sold. It's called Inner Hacker. And people can find information about me, about our hacking company, about everything that we do at tedharrington.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. This was brilliant.
Yeah. Fun hanging out with you guys.
I could hear you talk it's all so interesting. I literally can't get enough. So I will definitely be buying that book. And yeah, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you guys.
Be sure to like and subscribe and leave comments. We'd love to hear from you.
New episodes coming every week on LifeLock's YouTube channel.